time for another edition of Flames Unfiltered. I am Burud, one of the hosts, Kyle Lewis, the other host. And today it's a off-season special episode. And we're going to kind of run through the evolution of the Flames jersey. There hasn't been a ton of variations compared to some franchise, but you'd be surprised how many times this team has switched.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, like when you think about those different eras and how long some jerseys lasted, maybe how long they should have lasted. This is one that I've been looking forward to doing for a while because there's so many different memories associated with all the different jerseys we've had, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's been some good, and then when we get into some of the special heritage ones, there's been some not so good. And
Yeah.
I think our opinions actually on some of the jerseys may differ, which is part of the fun of doing this episode.
Oh, we know that they do. We've talked about this stuff before, but I don't
Yeah.
know that we've often got into the intricacies of those differences. So this should be really interesting, and I'm sure everybody out there has. Well, obviously they have their favorites and ones they like more than others, and ones that they just love that others hate, which is perhaps the most interesting dynamic of it all, right?
Yeah, and like I'm such a traditionalist, so you guys all know that listen to the show. So I'm gonna like more of the traditional ones, and we'll see where it goes though, because there's a couple of the heritage ones that I was a pretty big fan of too, and a couple I really hated too. So and then I can't wait to get to talk on the pedestal jersey and just the transformation of all the jerseys. So we'll get into it right away. If you're listening, we'll try to describe the jerseys as best we can. We're kind of cruise through them because it is a off-season edition, and we don't want to keep you too long on this episode. First off, I want to thank NHL Uniform Database for the graphics. So if you can watch this episode on YouTube, Flames Unfiltered, you'll find it. It's easy. Because we're going to be putting up the graphics as we can. Hopefully that goes as smooth as possible in the production part of it. So we'll get right into it. We aren't going to talk about the Atlanta Flames jerseys. Just we'll talk about it once we got to Calgary, right? And we'll roll into it. 80-81. The traditional jersey, slight variation to where we're at today, but not a lot. And I don't know. I love this jersey.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, as things were with pretty much every team, like the logo's kind of small.
It is.
You think about like the older Blackhawks jerseys, for example, like the same kind of thing. The Habs jersey, remember, like the emblem was just it never felt bombastic in your face. It was a very small logo relative to what we have today.
And I didn't even. It's funny you bring that up right away out of the gate. I didn't notice that so much when I pulled these graphics and when I think back to that jersey, but I think back to the very first jersey that I got and the logo is smaller. It is noticeably smaller, comparatively speaking, to what we're getting today.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess
absolutely
kind of the sign of the times. That jersey was from 80-81, and then we rolled on into a jersey from 81 to 94. Really, unnoticeable change from the first year's jersey. I think there was just some slight striping changes.
The collar
was really all it. And this is a jersey, and one I think, I think one of some of the older Flames fans will always just, this jersey is the one we won the cup in, right? So how do you not? I mean, look at the memories of that jersey and the heritage of that jersey and the photos we still look at to this day of that jersey. And that's kind of what symbolizes it in my mind.
Well, and that's it. I mean, even the cup is, the biggest piece of it. But I mean, those teams in general during this era were very successful. By the time that they retired it in 94, they had moved on to a completely different design, but also traded away virtually every single piece of their Stanley Cup, heyday, right? Excluding Theron Fleury at the time. So you can, and that's kind of what ushered in the Young Guns era. But I mean, ultimately, this jersey, no matter what anybody says, will always be the one most synonymous with the success the Flames had at that time. Even though it's like Jersey 1 and Jersey 2 and its current variation that we'll get to, people still call it like vintage or retro or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is the vintage retro. And as we transition now to that 95 to 98 pedestal jersey, Were you? How old were you when that change happened? I should probably know that.
I was 7.
Okay, so that you don't remember it being a big deal. I remember it being a huge, huge deal.
No, I'm
And
sure. Yeah.
because as I pull it up here, it was a drastic change, and not only in the striping, on the shoulders, and in the pedestal type, as is what it's known for today, striping on the bottom. But the big change to me was the black helmet and the black pants.
Yeah. Well, and there's a little bit of a correction here too. These jerseys were worn until 99, 2000.
They were, yes, and I'll pull that up right now, with the Blasty introduced from 98 to 2000.
Yeah, so maybe this might be the best graphic for us to use to kind of go through it. So to your point, in terms of what a colossal change it was, the pedestal jersey for me was like when I really became a fan, which was when they were pretty well at their absolute worst, right?
So to you, this jersey, I don't know, signifies the beginning, right?
Like the real beginning, I always like that's more closely what I associate Theo Fleury with, because he was like our only good player, superstar really at that time. Shouldn't say good player, that's not true, but
I would agree. That's what when I think of Theo Fleury, I think of him in this jersey more than I think of him
in the retro.
In the retro, the cup winning jersey, I guess you could you could say, I guess,
because he was a piece of the puzzle, but he wasn't, Al McInnes, Mike Vernon, Doug Gilmour important. And I mean, he was hugely important, don't get me wrong, but with these jerseys, he was the face of the franchise, and nobody was even close to his level. And then the supplemental pieces around that, Derek Morris, Denny Gauthier, Valerie Bure, Mark Savard, German Titoff. Like, there's so many players from those years that I think of. Michael Nylander actually would be a good example.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny you bring up my German Titoff, because he was a decent player. I mean, he really was.
Absolutely,
and a player that was all but completely forgotten.
Well,
and most of the fan base, I think.
There's actually a great bit in Theo Fleury's book about German Titoff, right? Talking about his time growing up in the USSR and his military service. The thing is like what I want to point out with this era of these jerseys and how they're kind of associated in a way with mediocrity. It's like at the time when these jerseys were in use, the Canadian dollar was in the toilet, the Jets were leaving, the Nordiques were leaving.
Yeah.
The Oilers and Flames and all these other teams, Canadian teams, were doing like these drives for season tickets. And if we don't hit this target, we're going to have to sell the team. So they're kind of like doom and gloom in a way, but they also represented like a major turning point for the franchise. And it's unfortunate that these jerseys kind of represent that really, really difficult era economically and on the ice for the Flames. But now I think we look back on a little bit more fondly, because we realize, like, at least that's how I look at it, like they were able to get through that time period. And that's more what I see these jerseys as, the time period where a lot of NHLers, J.S. Chiguer, for example, Martin St. Louis, they wore this jersey and they became, Conn Smythe winners or Hall of Famers. Like, it's not all bad, is what I'm trying to say.
No, I mean, I have a lot of really good memories of these jerseys. I do struggle a little bit though to remember like the Blasty when that came out, the original Blasty. I struggle to remember a lot of that, and that was for what, 2 years they wore that. Yeah, 98 to 2000. Do you remember the origination of the Blasty and when it first came out?
Yeah, I remember. I mean, it changed quite a bit rather quickly. The first few years, like they had the white letters for the assistant captains and the captain, and they were stylized differently. Trying to think, like I have a memory of Theo Fleury scoring his record-breaking point in that jersey against Anaheim, if I'm not mistaken. And then and for some reason, even though they all wore these 3 jerseys, I think more of like Todd Simpson in the Blasty jersey, right?
I know. It is funny how that is.
Yeah, I mean, and keep in mind at the time too. I mean, for those who maybe aren't as familiar with the jersey history, like every team was doing drastically different things. Like the Boston Pooh Bear jersey, the fish sticks jersey, and on the island, as people call it. it was a really, and now those jerseys are like, that's the reverse retro program, is like rebranding these jerseys and reintroducing them. And now the pedestal had one a few years ago, which I'm fortunate enough to own one of. It's not my favorite jersey, but it's a very cool piece of history. And that's kind of the point here too. We're going to debate some of our favorites and ones we don't like, but at the same time, like, there's certain memories that are just associated with these jerseys and represent cool pieces of time in the Flames history.
This was also a time frame and an era where every team, it seemed like, was having something to do with a black jersey.
Oh, it was the late 90s, right?
Yeah. I mean, everybody had a black jersey.
Yeah.
Of some sort, here or there, right?
Yeah, and some came a little later. Like, I remember San Jose's black jersey. Actually, I hadn't thought about that one in a long time. But yeah, like, understated, like, and then also, shortly after this time period, when they switched back to darks at home, right? So we should point out this was the last, actually the second last jersey collection that was worn at home until it changed.
And let's switch right into that change. And this was a giant change. It was a jersey set that we wore from 2000 to 2003, and that is when the transition from white being the home jersey to white being the road jersey. And it was the initiation of where, I mean, we didn't even have a red jersey, but we wore that black jersey, the Blasty jersey, at home solely for those 3 years.
Yeah, so we had the white jersey at home, and then when they switched it, like this, like you say, it's only 3 years. It was really a strange time. And this particular set is like, this is where I was like, Jerome McGinley became a star, right? Like 2001, 2002. Dave Lowry was captain for a time, and Craig Conroy and Bob Boudner shared the captaincy after that. And then this is the era where McGinley became captain too.
Yeah, and then in 03 to 06, the Blasty moved to the third jersey, and then this is what all of us as Flames fans remember as, the 04 Cup Run jerseys.
Yeah, and these were Cohos, and that's important too to recognize the brands, because there's been so many that have had the jersey rights over the years. This is when the league had gone from it was Pro Player, then CCM, and then to the Cohos. And
it is funny that you say that too, because it was CCM predominantly for decades, I think. Right.
Well, Pro Player was in there for a couple of years. I have a Pro Player game worn at Jeff Cowan's, and they're a really, really nice jersey. But a very, very brief period of time.
I forgot all about Pro Player. I did. I now that you brought it up, it kind of came back to me, and I'm like,
I don't know what happened to them. I'd like to look into that, actually.
Yeah. Do you remember when Coho got it, and it was, I don't know. It just, that seemed different to me, I guess.
Coho, because as a name and as a brand, like as I picture the logo, really exemplified hockey to me at that time. It's probably just prior to when Easton really took off in terms of like being a marketing machine and a ton of players wearing the gear and being sponsored by them. But Coho, like, and I've got a couple. I think I have two Coho Blasties, a Dave Lowry and a Denny Gauthier. Actually, they're really, really nice jerseys. Yeah, and the thing we should point out here too, for those that don't remember, that red jersey initially had black lettering for the name bar, and people were complaining they couldn't read the player names on TV, so they changed it to a white name bar. So if you actually look at the 2003-2004 season, you'll see in the first, 5 or 10 games, home games, those jerseys had black lettering.
I don't remember that.
I have photos of it here. I'll send you a couple. They changed it relatively quickly, but yeah, it's interesting.
Send me a picture. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah. That's why it's fun to go through this stuff, right?
Yeah. What did you think of the V stripe?
For that era, I actually liked it. Those jerseys just look like big and impressive to me. Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I still kind of like the pedestal jersey more than this jersey. But everybody that knows me and listens to this show knows my feelings on the Blasty. I wasn't a huge Blasty fan. So that kind of, I don't know.
I have a theory on that I'm going to share. And it's not so much a theory as it is kind of factual with some people I've talked to. So for guys like yourself, a little bit older than myself, like when you grow up with that vintage jersey, like the iconic Flames one, and the one that exemplified our success, then you go to Blasty, which in the late 90s was kind of, it wasn't like it was like, it wasn't here's a cool. I mean, initially it was third jersey, but then it kind of took over, and the history was just kind of completely pushed aside. It represented such a crappy era in terms of Flames on ice performance.
Yeah, yeah.
That it was kind of like shoved down our throats. I feel like for younger guys like me at the time, like I was like a teenager, like I thought it was the coolest jersey ever. Which is why I have the Blasty hat, and it's funny because like some people they like Noah Adler, for example, is just such a huge Blasty mark, and good for him. But it's just interesting how people love and hate certain jerseys differently, and I think you've actually, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you've warmed up a bit to Blasty in the last few years.
I like the newer version, and we'll get to that later on. But I do like the newer version a lot better than the old version.
Cool, interesting. Because my buddy actually likes the old version better too. But I like them both. I don't really know if I have a favorite.
I think it was something to do with the red on the bottom of the striping on the old one. I just wasn't a fan of that. I like the newer one a lot better. Yeah. But and I remember when they introduced the second Blasty, and maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves, but I remember saying something to you. I said, and this goes back to exactly what you just said about how and why I probably don't like the original Blasty, because it signified losing to me. And and the new Blasty, I remember when it came out, you were kind of laughing, and I was kind of laughing about like, oh great, I got to go through this again. And then I remember saying to you, well, I really don't care as long as they win. If they win in this jersey, I'm good.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And actually, interestingly enough, at that time when they reintroduced Blasty, the Flames did like a montage video like announcing it, and they included one of my tweets in it because I'd said that the original Blasty is the first Flames jersey I ever bought for myself. I remember I was working at a cross-country ski club as a cashier when I was like 12 or 13. And I had the jersey on layaway at Sport Check, and I asked my boss to pay me a day in advance so I could go to Sport Check and pick it up. When I got home that day, my parents had already bought it and hung it in my bedroom for me.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So and that again, where it's a childhood memory of sorts, that's what makes this jersey like meaningful to me. And now people, like, if there's Flames fans that don't like the color red, or they're not into the traditional logo, or they're not even a Flames fan, they can gravitate more towards something different like the Blasty logo.
Yeah.
Now, again, this is really important before we go any further. These jerseys, especially like this red home, was used for such a brief amount of time that I don't feel it ever got the run that it should have got.
Probably a fair. Yep. Probably fair.
From 0304 to 0607, which you count the lockout, of course. You know, 3 seasons where that was in use.
Because we did switch coming out of the lockout. We went and wore the red at home and then the white on the road and then we minus the Blasty at that point.
Yeah, when they went to
it went to Reebok.
Yes. Yeah. So the Blasty was actually with these. Right. Well, in 05-06, I know they were because I've had those jerseys. 06-07, I can't remember if Blasty was still around or if they dropped it for a year.
They dropped it for a year. They dropped they dropped it for more than a year because
but that was the year they dropped it. Then they switched to RBK with the Flags jerseys, right?
Yep. Yeah. Yes. Because in 07, as I go ahead here, in 07, we dropped the V stripe and went to the side striping, stayed with the black pants and the black helmet, and then had the flags on the side, the Canadian and Alberta flag.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Blasty disappeared, I guess, in the previous season, the 06-07 season.
Yes. And now these jerseys, this is like I don't know how to explain that, but it's like I had a lot of hope associated with these because this is like when, we still had Dion Phaneuf. We acquired Ole Jokinen. Mike Camilleri had one of the best seasons any Flames had in these jerseys. And if I remember correctly, I think
Monahan's emergence in these jerseys. That's what I think of.
Well, and that's the interesting part about these ones is that they encompass 2 eras. Now we should mention too the RBK logo, which because that's what they were called then, like this Reebok. They dropped the RBK in the logo and just went to straight Reebok on them in the last few years that they had the league license.
Yes,
but these jerseys represent the end of the Kiprusoff Iginla era.
Oh yeah,
and a couple of years of absolute misery where Joey McDonald was our best goaltending option. With no disrespect to Joey, I mean he was in a very enviable position. He's actually from nearby Pictou County, but and then we transitioned into Johnny Gaudreau, Sean Monahan, and the kind of the turning point of the franchise, right?
Yeah. Yep. It was a big turning point.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I did not mind this jersey.
I remember, like, I like this more than the one that came after, even though it was very similar. And I think Mike Gould actually pointed out at one point that the one that came after this was just a much tighter design. The lines made more sense. It was cleaner. It was kind of crisper. And I never saw it that way because I really like these. And maybe it's just because of. I should also mention, actually, they wore these red jerseys the first two times I saw them play live in 2009 against Columbus and Minnesota.
Sure.
And then they were still wearing them when I was there for the playoffs in 2015, when, a game 3 when in the round 2 against the Ducks when we won overtime. So those memories obviously influence how I feel about them.
And then there was some transitions in 2009 where we went to introducing the retro, I guess is really what we call this, because this takes us back to that 89 era. And we wore that at home, in and out. And then even we actually removed that retro jersey and had 2 different third jerseys with the Calgary script jersey that many people, I guess you'd say, love or hate this jersey.
I had a TJ Brody game worn script jersey and I sold it, and I still kind of regret it because it was just a cool piece to own. I don't have a lot of fond memories of the team wearing that jersey. Actually, I remember really well when they had like Curtis Glencross and Mike Camilleri and those guys like modeling the jersey.
Yep.
And I have, for some reason, I remember that photo very vividly. But when it was dropped, I just remember thinking, I have no idea what this jersey's legacy is going to be if we'll ever see any variation of it again. I actually had a golf shirt that had that Calgary logo on it, and it looks really cool. But as the primary logo on a jersey,
I can't say that I hated it, but to me, it definitely screamed third jersey.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It totally, to me, just screamed third jersey.
Yeah. Not something that had any staying power. And like, and the shoulder patch logo on it too, like the Rocky Mountain patch is actually kind of cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was when was that retired? Was it after 14-15? I think. Yeah. I know they wore it in 14-15. Actually, I think 15-16 might have been the last year for it. I have some memory of Lance Boma wearing that tells me that might have been the last year it was worn.
In 2021, which, geez, doesn't seem like that long ago, right?
Right.
We went to switch it over here. We went to the full retro. For the COVID year, we wore the reds as the red retro as the primary, and the black stripe side stripe was the secondary. And then in 21-22, we went simplified and just went full retro.
I think I have 2 comments on that, because you said it and I didn't really catch it, but now you reminded me. When the red jersey with the black C was one of the third jerseys.
Yes,
was so
just that COVID year. It was so weird.
It was so awkward because they rotated what was a primary jersey to being an alternate jersey. And the only reason I can think it was still in circulation, the only reason I think that's the case is that's when Ken King, who was a huge proponent of the Flags jerseys, that's when his health was starting to fail, and I think they kept it as a tribute to him.
Okay. I didn't know
he was. That's my theory. I don't. Yeah, well, he was kind of at the head of that, pursuing that design and including the Alberta Canadian flags.
Okay.
And I don't. Maybe I heard that somewhere. I don't want to sit here and say that was the absolute reason, because I can't remember. But it seems to me in the timeline as well that that's why that jersey hung on for an extra year in a very odd way. Because it probably should have been retired by then. But that's why they kept it in, because Ken King was still around in the last years of his life.
Okay. I did not know that. Were you, when we in 21, when we went full retro,
mm-hmm.
were you pumped about that? Because I was off the charts. I was so happy. It goes back to like you said, it goes back to when I remember them winning, right? That's all this comes back to, right? It comes back to our memories of good times.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, I was definitely in favor of what I like that for like for old school fans, and they brought it back just the two of them. But I won't lie, I was absolutely clamoring like, okay, they nailed part of the jersey equation. These should be our primary jerseys. But I wanted to see something from the era that I loved, added to that, and that's eventually what we got. So, but yeah, I mean, the move back to the proper original Flames jerseys in the newest design was an absolute no brainer.
In 2022 to present, the jerseys we're watching in current day here now was the introduction of Blasty, what you want to call it, 2.0?
Well, actually, this is kind of a 3.0 because prior to this one was the exact same jersey without the flames on the sleeves.
Yes.
So I have, for example, a lockout jersey of Michael Stone's, which does not have flames on the cuffs, and then I have a Denomir Marnoff one from a season later, or 2 seasons later, where the flames are there.
So are you speaking of the 2021 reverse retro then?
No, I mean Blasty.
Okay.
So like, okay, let me rephrase that. So
in 2021, the Blasty was a reverse retro.
Yes, that's right. So it was a reverse retro 1.0. That yes. One, which Gaudreau, Warren, Monahan, obviously, as you can see here. So that same jersey just had the flames added to the cuffs. That was the only, and it's kind of it's a very subtle addition, but it is kind of cool.
Yeah. Yep. I did not notice that.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see now, before we move on into special jerseys, I'm interested to see what really happens though with the Blasty.
To be honest with you, I've been buying a lot of Blasty gear the last 2 years because I'm scared they're going to take it away from me again.
You think so?
I don't think that they will, because when it came back, it was a huge comeback. A lot of people do love it. And some people still say to me, if I'm wearing this hat or a golf shirt with the logo, they're like, oh, what's that? I'm like, it's the Flames alternate logo. They're like, oh, really? Like, they don't even know that it is, right? I just think right now it's in its proper place as an alternate jersey, one that gets worn, 8 to 15 times a season.
You know what? I'm fine with it being an alternate jersey. One thing that does frustrate me is like when we're having an epic battle, like a battle of Alberta or a Canucks Flames. Please don't wear the Blasty. Blasty has nothing to do with the Battle of Alberta, right? We got to wear our normal jerseys on those nights.
I played a game in, I don't know, NHL, whatever year it was, 23 or 24 probably, where I was playing against the Canucks, and I had the skate jerseys on the Canucks and Blasty on the Flames, and I couldn't tell the teams apart, and it was just a disaster.
It's the same thing. It's the same jersey.
It's ridiculous. Like, the color scheme is virtually identical. So, but yeah, I know what you mean too. Like those classic games. I remember, like, there was one game, and I think what it was, the Flames were wearing the white jerseys pictured here, and the Oilers were wearing like the, what do they call it, like the neon Oilers jersey.
Yeah.
It looked like the Flames were playing like a cyborg version of their oldest rival from the future. Like, it was just dumb.
Yes. These are jerseys you wear when you're playing Carolina or Dallas or something.
Yeah, or another conference opponent that's not, in your division. There's no history, like no big rivalry, right? So
yeah, when we play the Sharks, like, okay,
yeah, who cares?
Yeah, who cares? Let's go into some special jerseys. In 09-10, they pulled out the 30th anniversary, and this was kind of our first look at the reverse retro. And this kind of, I think, got the wheels turning for the reintroduction of the retro. I don't know. I just remember this, and I believe they only wore it one game. I believe it was only worn in one game. But
I think it was 5.
Was it? Was it 5?
I think it was 5 games. For some reason, I don't know why I spent the money on this, but I have Vesa Toskala's jersey with this exact one. And it's super cool. I paid way too much. Oh yeah, I'll send you pictures of it. I don't know why I bought it. The Toskala name bar is really cool, but yeah, it's a neat piece, even though it was only here for a handful of games. But yeah, this definitely started everybody started clamoring to have this jersey back, right?
Do you remember when the Heritage Classic was announced? First one in 2011, and it was going to be exciting, right? It was going to be exciting, and they announced that they were going to have this new jersey, and oh man, I was just pumped. I couldn't wait to see what, there's the sky's the limit for cool designs you can come up with for a one game jersey, right? And then we get this,
the Ronald McDonald.
The Ronald McDonald.
Yeah. And you can't even tell in this picture how beige those pants are.
They're brutal.
Yeah. Tell us how you really feel.
This is the worst. Okay. Do you remember a few years ago when the Colorado Avalanche played in the Stadium Series game? And they had that weird
Man,
mountain. It looked like some grandma knitted a sweater for him. It was like it was brutal. It was the worst. This jersey is right there with that jersey.
do you know how many Stadium Series jerseys I don't remember because I'm just so sick of there always being a Stadium Series? Like I
don't even.
Yeah.
You get excited to watch Stadium Series games? I don't.
Not at all. Not at all. I don't remember the last one I watched unless it was a Flames game. I have really no. I've like channel surfed and could tune in for a minute, but if you showed me like a Bruins Stadium Series jersey, I couldn't tell you what year it's from. I could probably guess, but
no.
Yeah.
And there's been some good Stadium Series jerseys. There has.
Yeah.
It just seems like there's more bad than good.
Well, and we won this game 4-0 against the Canadians
in a good game. I remember Mika Kiprusoff in that jersey clearly. I have a picture.
Yeah, I remember Robin Regier.
Yep.
Alex Tanguay, I think, played in that game. Rene Bourque, I for sure did.
Yes.
But it was such a lost season. That's when like it wasn't working for the Flames anymore. You know, like the roster just wasn't going to get done, and this is where like the mediocrity that we dealt with years ago had really started to creep back in.
Yeah, for sure. In 2019, a Heritage game again, and they kept it simple this year, and they came out with just the white.
Oh yeah, when they brought that back to perfectly complement, the original red, it was just like chef's kiss, like beautiful.
It just was perfect.
And there was no surprise here, and I'm sure you remember that well. Everybody was talking about, they're gonna show the pictures of the white jersey any day now. We knew it had to be this. Anything else would have been sacrilege.
Yep, you're totally right. And then in 2021, we came out, or the NHL introduced the reversed retro, and only a few teams participated. It was either like 6 or 10, I believe, participated in the reverse retro program. And we showed this earlier, and I'll go through the two that we had. We had one in 2021, and then in 2022 and 23, we had a reverse retro. This is the 2021 was the Blasty, and then in 22-23 is the one you referenced earlier, and that is the pedestal in a black.
Yeah, which I have Trevor Lewis's game worn, our 2.0, which I paid quite a lot of money for because it's a Lewis jersey. But I really still appreciate the guy selling it to me. The coolest touch on this jersey is because even though I don't think it's by no means is it a masterpiece, the fact they did the NHL logo on the collar and like the 90s NHL color.
Yep.
Versus like the silver black shield they use today, like was a really nice touch.
I'm a traditionalist, but I did not mind this. I did not mind this jersey at all.
Well, I thought it was the thing about jerseys is anytime they add one to a rotation, even if it's for a handful of games, it's purely marketing. It's extra dollars, but there are like cool little intricacies here, and I thought it was kind of nice to give the pedestal a throwback because it was kind of much maligned and represented such a bad era, like we talked about, like. And I don't remember a whole lot of dialogue around this jersey at the time, and certainly not since. It was just like, that was cool. Thank you. Move on.
Have a nice day. Yep.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, when you look at this jersey, what it would have looked like if they could have reverse retroed the pants, but have them be red and keep the black jersey and see what that looked like.
I'm picturing it right now. It's kind of cool.
I don't know. I just thought if you're gonna do it wild, like I always wondered. I'm a huge fan of red pants versus the black pants, and I just thought.
Well, I will say this because I wear like the retro Flames pants when I play hockey, but these pants, which are basically the same ones they were in the 90s, those are my favorite Flames pants. I love the white logo on them. I love the pedestal striping down the leg. And even when they wore it with Blasty, like in the late 90s, it was a cool look. Very subtle, but yeah, very neat.
Then in 2023, the most recent, I guess, Heritage Classic, that one was in Regina. The Flames broke out these.
Yeah, I got one of these too.
I can't wait to hear what your thoughts are. Was it basically a round logo that said Calgary Flames with the C smaller in the middle? Very, very old school, kind of a cream color, a light cream color, an old school look, a nice striping on the pants. I really liked that.
Yep. It's funny that this is Lindholm jersey on the screen. That's 28. I have 82 Jordan Esterle's.
Okay.
It's a really cool jersey, actually.
I like this jersey.
And they wore it a couple times after that too.
They did. Did they not play like 2 or 3 more games in it?
Yeah, I believe they did. And actually, this to me, and I think you'll agree, this really corrected the faux pas that was the mustard Calgary Tigers jersey from 2011.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, you forgot it again already, even though we just talked about it.
Yeah. Ugh, the Ronald McDonald jerseys. Oh, they were bad. They were bad. When you think back, though, when you look at all the jerseys, as we wrap up here, what is your, like, if you had one jersey that you could have for a Flames jersey, and that's all you could have anymore, what is your all-time favorite Flames jersey?
That's really tough.
Okay, let's do this. What's your favorite regular season one? Like a regular jersey, just a regular, not a special one, just a regular one.
Probably the current red home, like the retro vintage jersey, but in its current rendition, because it's been modernized enough, the striping's thicker, the collar's nicer, the logo's bigger.
Yeah.
So it's just taking something, and when you read articles about that jersey and how it is today, like everybody just says, it's exactly what it was, almost 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's just really, really nice.
Clean and bold. If I had to pick, I'd pick the new the retro that we're wearing now, the white one. I've always loved white jerseys. There's just something about that crisp white that looks really, really nice. And if I had to pick my favorite special jersey, I think I would have to go with the 23 Heritage Classic, the round circle logo. I thought it was clean. I wouldn't want it for our everyday jersey, so I don't. But I thought it was a very, very classy look for a one-off.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. It was just, how do I word that? It was just subtle enough that it worked,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of how I
There
saw
wasn't a lot of pushback on that jersey at all, was there?
No, much like the RR 2.0 pedestal, it didn't get a lot of fanfare, and that's, in the cases like this, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. I'm with you. I really like that jersey. I thought that was
so
really...
of all the unconventional jerseys, so pedestals, reverse retro pedestal, blasty, script jersey, heritage classics, what of all the obscure ones is your favorite? Is it the most recent heritage classic?
Yep. With honorable mention to the reverse retro black pedestal. I that goes against everything that I've always liked in jerseys, but that they put that together really nice. They did.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think for me, it's like blasty is very primary in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think the reverse retro blasty is just so well done.
Yeah. I do have one thing to mention on the original blasty. In this almost solidifies a little bit more of what you said about remembering from the winning times. When my son, who's 19 now, started really liking hockey, and he was born in 06.
Yeah.
The jersey he wanted was the original blasty. That's the jersey he wanted. When we were going to pick out a Flames jersey, that's what he wanted. And I find that interesting because I think it's more built to that era, right? It's built to that age group. It's built to that, I bet you if you polled all the kids would love the Blasty jersey. I think it's a huge for them, right?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. This is interesting. And now I'm thinking more and more about these jerseys and just like the players that wore them and how long they lasted. And what do you think is the next jersey to make a comeback?
Oof. What do you mean, like, to make a comeback? Do you think you mean like a reintroduction of like a twist on the pedestal, or like?
Yeah, well, okay, so I'll say, like, I think the next jersey that we're going to see in the rotation is the Black Sea with the blasty on the shoulders to commemorate like 2004.
Yeah, that's probably that would probably be the easiest, most logical thing, right?
Yeah, I think so.
The memories are so fond of that 04 Cup run that I think it would be hard to screw that up, right?
It would be hard, but it's doable.
I mean? Do you ever think do you think in the next decade we see like a complete rebrand, a home and away regular jersey for the Flames?
It depends on what the rest of the league does. I'd be surprised.
I would too. I
They
really would.
They just like I said, when you throw in the Blasty along with those originals or renditions of the originals, it just works so well. I just don't see. Yeah, I don't see how they get away from that.
Tell me if I'm maybe a little off base on this, but my one fear now is though with Fanatics running the jerseys,
Mhm.
that they're going to want to alter and twist up things frequently to make more money.
Very possible.
I just kind of know how they operate, right?
Yeah.
It just that's one fear I have. I'm as a traditionalist. It's I don't mind doing special things and stuff, but I don't know. I really like where we're at now with our jerseys, and I think if you ran a poll across the National Hockey League, I think many people would put us in the top 5 to 10 for best jerseys in the league.
Yep. Oh, and most editorials that you see will say the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But I think as it stands right now, this is the nicest collection as a whole we've had as a team. So hopefully some success comes with that.
Oh, we're going to find out what happens here in the next few months with this season. So it's exciting.
It is.
Well, fans, we hope you're enjoying the off season, and we also hope that you enjoy when Kyle and I do these special edition. I don't know what you'd want to call them. Special episodes where we just talk about different topics in Flames history or different topics around the Calgary Flames. So they're fun doing it. We've had a good time doing these special ones, and we hope you enjoy them too. We also hope that you're having a great summer, and we'll be back to the rinks and back to the dome here soon with Calgary Flames hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And the week's time has slipped away. So hopefully, as you say, you guys are enjoying this as much as we're enjoying doing it. We'll be back very soon with yet another one.
Talk to you soon, Flames fan.
Thanks for listening to Flames Unfiltered with Brad Burud and Kyle Lewis, your source for unfiltered Calgary Flames hockey talk. Keep it locked on flamesunfiltered.ca. Subscribe where you get all your podcasts to never miss an episode. Flames hockey talk every week, presented by Inside Edge Hockey Media Group.